George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. We're at the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner, and we're here with a brother who pulls no punches, host of Roland Martin Unfiltered, and many other shows. You've seen him all over the place, but he's here in the Q's tonight to tell us a thing or two about a thing or two. Roland, welcome to the Q's. The last
Glad to be
time
back.
I saw you in the Q's, you were at Onondaga Community College. Have you been here since then?
Nope,
Yeah.
not.
This has been so. We're in a particular time right now, especially in the country, Iran, Israel, the United States. Where do Black folks situate themselves in this particular?
Well, I
conflict?
mean, it's not really just with the issue with Iran and Israel. What we have seen since the inauguration of Trump, we have seen a wholesale attack on the Black civil rights and economic infrastructure. What I had, the phrase that I use is they are desperately trying to defund Black America. And so it's happening before our very eyes. It goes beyond the attack on DEI. It's the attack on voting rights. It's literally the attack on civil rights. When you have a nation right now where they are allowing people to snatch folk off the street and disappear them, Black people know what that is like because that has happened to us before.
Show me your
And
papers,
then, well, that happened in South Africa, but no, I'm talking about literally where we were disappeared. So what is going on is the notion of due process, equal justice under law, all of those things. We're talking about. I mean, Donald Trump, MAGA, is an existential threat to Black America, and there's a great scene in the television show Scandal, where the Joe Morton character said, "You're running around in a field of daisies." Mistaking you're running around in a field of bombs, mistaking them for daisies. And we need to fully understand that what we are facing are folks who desperately are trying to lock in white supremacy for the next 100 years. They're doing that through public policy. And so we can't play around with this moment that we're facing.
The fact that you said lock in white
Yes.
supremacy, we're not seeing that, right?
Some of us are seeing it, but we're not fully comprehending that. When you talk about a 6-3 conservative majority of the Supreme Court, when you look at those rulings, the Supreme Court is the last stop.
Right.
So unless you get a Congress that overturns their ruling, which it could happen, but it takes a whole lot. But the problem there is they could still rule that unconstitutional, which now means if you look at the three oldest folks in the court, Thomas Alito Roberts, that's three of those folks. If those three decide to leave between now and 2029, they are going to appoint juries in their early 40s. So they want to lock in hardcore right-wing judges for the next 40 years. That means, and see, this is where we're missing it when we talk about politics, because we can pass laws that they can sue, and then the Supreme Court can invalidate them.
Right.
So we have to understand that that's what their agenda is. When you look at what Project 2025 is all about, that is literally about the destruction of the civil rights ecosystem that we have witnessed over the past 50, 60, 70 years. That's what their aim is. And so we have to recognize that when we stay home, when we do not maximize our power, then we are literally aiding and abetting them in their agenda. And that, to me, is dangerous.
What I'm concerned about is what power do we have right now? And I think about
No, we have it.
okay,
but we're not
how we
maximizing. No, we're not maximizing it. If you look at it, so you look 2008 when Obama was elected, that was the first time in American history a higher percentage of Black people voted than white people. Now, Our election, so even the last election, 70% of the total electorate was white.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about percentage of available voters. So in 2008, we showed what happens when we turn out in massive numbers. Take North Carolina. Obama wins North Carolina in 2008. He loses it in 12. Hillary Clinton loses it in 16. Biden loses it in 20. Harris loses it in 24. But Obama won it. He won it with white votes, but he won it because of massive black voter turnout. Now, we turned out because it was the first black president. Okay, that's great. But my issue is once you've shown you can do it, now I don't want to hear the excuses you can't do it again. And so when you look, so North Carolina, critical state, he won about 14,100 votes.
Mm-hmm.
So now we should be operating where we have places where we have, I would dare say, 20% or more of the population. Our target goal should be a 70% turnout of available black voters. Not 32, not 34, not 36, not 38, not 48. Because what now happens is, in most places, your white turnout is going to be relatively flat. So if your black turnout goes at 70%, you're now talking about another 10, 15, 20, 30,000 votes.
Yeah.
So the reality is the black vote can make the difference in state, county, city, school board elections. So what happened in 2020? What happened in 2022? The folks who voted in 2020 didn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Mom for Liberty ran all these candidates for school board. Won. In South Carolina, they immediately started firing black superintendents. And in fact, they fired 2 different school districts, fired the back-to-back superintendent of the year. So they showed up. We didn't. So here you had majority white school boards in districts that were majority African American because we fell asleep and they saw the opportunity and they took it.
And that trend is continuing even in cities like Syracuse. The trend is, especially in the zip codes where we live, lower, lower, lower.
Right, which means then that when you talk about how we approach elections, what we have to understand is that numbers have now changed. What I mean by that is the group that votes the highest in the country, black, white, doesn't matter, 65 plus. Second highest is 55, 64. Once you go below 55, that number begins to drop. For African Americans, we're less self-identifying. The further you get away from the civil rights movement, we're less self-identifying as Democrats. Now, doesn't mean likely to vote Dem, leaning Dem, but what now happens is the couch is actually an option. People say, I haven't seen change, so therefore I'm checking out. Well, the problem is you checking out guarantees you will never see change. So our approach has to be different. Our approach to politics has to be that after the election is over, we are immediately moving towards training, educating, enlightening, informing people about what is happening, about how you must now come out after the election is over. We must not be waiting till 3 months before the election to be communicating with people. I've been advocating we must have a return to citizenship education. We're teaching people about politics. We're teaching them this is what city government does, right, what state government does, what county government does, what school district, what they do, because a lot of people simply do not know. But this is real because, again, you can have a very small and engaged group that turns out that can take things over while other folk are sitting back chilling. And so we have to now, I think, move differently in terms of how we engage our folks to begin to get them to understand. And I've been saying to folks, that should be happening now for 26. It should be now. Yeah. If there are local elections in 25, you do that now. But if you don't have any local elections in 25 and something's happening in 26, there literally should be weekly workshops, training. There should be constant town halls where you're taking questions, where you're teaching people so they can understand what's at stake. You can't wait till 2 or 3 or 4 months before the election to go, oh, now let's go talk to people. Can't do it.
DEI is under attack. Target was just in the news because they reportedly made a $300,000.
Not reportedly.
They did to the National Baptist Convention.
No, there were 3 Baptist groups: National Baptist Convention, Kojic, and also
Kojic too. Okay.
Yes, and National Missionary group as well. So you're talking about 3 denominations that say they have membership of 43,000 churches. Total donation of 300,000, really $100,000 to each. Obviously blasted them. It's an awful decision. They
take the money?
Absolutely. First of all, we're trying to force Target to honor its commitment of spending $2 billion annually with Black businesses. I'm sorry, $2,300,000.
Mm-hmm.
$2 billion.
300,000.
300,000.
Yeah.
So what the hell are you doing? And then they announced that they're working on some 3 to 5 year plan. Okay, what the hell is that? They already made a commitment. So what plan are you working on? Is the plan that you're working on greater than the commitment they made after George Floyd was murdered? I don't think so. So what we're saying is, no, forget whatever y'all working on. Damn that. They should honor the commitment that they made in 2020 and stick to that.
You have been critical of leadership, obviously. What should organizations like NAACP, Divine Nine, faith communities, what aren't we doing that we should be doing?
First of all, we're insular. So what's happening is we have meetings, we have gatherings, and we're talking amongst ourselves. How many of us are actually doing the business of the broader community? So if you are Divine Nine, Prince Hall Mason, if you are Eastern Star, Jack and Jill Links, when have folk seen you move en masse to the city council meeting, the school board meeting, the county meeting, state capitol, nation's capital? How are you moving in an agenda? So that's part of the deal. And so much of our conversations, again, are insular about what's happening within our organizations, but it's actually not external about what's happening in our communities.
All right, finally, you talked to some young people today. What did you say to them, and what is your message to those who might be listening or watching?
Look, my message to them was real simple, and that is, you have to have a level of clarity in terms of what it is you're trying to do. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know how they can assist you. So if you can't explain that, if you can't advocate that, if you can't lay that out yourself, then you're not going to be able to do it. And also get them to understand research is important. Understanding who you're talking to, understand that you've done the research, that you know those different things. And last point, I said read. We are another generation that going to college, they don't know how to read. And so therefore, I keep saying you can't Google everything. You can't YouTube everything. You need to be able to have a knowledge that is contained within you that you can be able to call upon instantly without actually picking your phone up.
Roland Martin, Unfiltered, subscribe to his YouTube channel, and Black Star Network. Tell us about that.
Black Star Network as well. So just download our app, go to our YouTube channel as well, and then, of course, my show and the other shows on the network.
Great. Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you. Inspiration for the nation.